I know some of you may not be fully convinced, but let's consider the story of Rahab. Rahab lived in the city of Jericho, which was not only well fortified, but a well-resourced nation. Historians believe that the city had two layers of walls, an inner and an outer. The outer walls were approximately 12 foot high, but the inner was 26 foot high, and they were built upon an embankment that sloped up. So if you were out in the distance from Jericho looking at the city, it appeared to be as high as a 10-story building, a very formidable city. Not only that, but at that time, the city had just harvested their crops, and they had their own source of fresh water inside the city. So they could shut up the gate, shut up the walls, and last for a very long time. The Israelites, on the other hand, were a ragtag group of people who spent the past 40 years wandering in the desert. Not only that, but their leader Moses recently died, and they have a new guy in his place, Joshua. From a logical perspective, Jericho had absolutely no reason to be afraid of Israel. Nevertheless, when two spies were sent by Joshua, they reached Rahab's house. She had a different perspective. She heard the stories of the Red Sea drying up. She heard about the battles Israel previously won, but most importantly, Rahab had faith in God. Joshua 2:11 says, "And as soon as we heard it, our hearts melted, and there was no spirit left in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God, in the heavens above and on the earth beneath." That's Rahab speaking. As for Rahab, she's introduced in the scripture as a prostitute. You see, those two spies, whenever they reached the city, they didn't look for a physician. They didn't look for somebody in Jericho who had some kind of political influence. They didn't try to bribe somebody. They went to someone who seems like an unlikely candidate for help. The truth is, God used Rahab because she had faith, because she believed in the one true God, because she was willing to let God use her. He saved not only her, but her family as well. And I know some of us have trials. Some of us are broken. We have family members who are broken. But you know what it takes? Willingness and faith in God so you can let him help. The two spies, on the other hand, had no reason to trust her. She was not known for her good deeds or anything positive that is mentioned in Scripture, but they were willing to put their lives in her hands as she hid them in the roof from the soldiers. They were willing to put their lives in her hands when she told them to wait in the hills for 3 days before returning back to their camp. They trusted her so much that they repeated her words back to Joshua when they returned to the Israelites. Joshua 2:24 says, "And they said to Joshua, 'Truly the Lord has given all the land into our hands, and also all the inhabitants of the land melt away because of us.'" And I don't know which side of this story you might fall on tonight, but one thing I know for sure is that we all need help. All of us need God's help. And God doesn't really care what side of this story you might be on. If you're the spies in this case, if you're Rahab, it really doesn't matter. I have just one question for you. Are you willing to let God help? You see, God's calling out. Now, I don't know what problems you have, but God is there just waiting and asking, do you have faith I can do it? Do you believe I'm God? And are you willing to let me work through you?